When the Sooners went into Dallas for the third game of the season, nobody in the program could have predicted the significance of the matchup. As had become tradition, though, the Cotton Bowl was packed with over 75,000 fans as Oklahoma took the field and a national television audience tuned in. Wilkinson's roster was built around his team's best defenders, and his coaching strategy quickly yielded results as Tom Carroll forced the Longhorns into an early turnover. It was a short distance to go, and little time had elapsed when Larry Grigg posted the first points on the board. Oklahoma's defense continued to play tough, forcing a punt of the Longhorns to Oklahoma's Merrill Green. The burnt orange in the crowd was silent as Green ran his rivals on an 80-yard punt return. Oklahoma was firing on all cylinders, leaving only improved place kicking to be desired as it held a 12-0 lead. Texas couldn't match the stamina of the Oklahoma squad, and with the game nearing a close, Carroll reeled off another incredible touchdown, running 48 yards to Texas pay dirt. Texas was determined to finish strong, and a late touchdown with 2 minutes and 33 seconds to play left the Sooners with the ball deep in their own territory.
They were ahead 19-7. Dad decided to take a safety. The score now would be 19-9. Oklahoma would punt, and Texas would have to return the ball. And even if they scored, Oklahoma would still be ahead. Well, so Gene Callum, the quarterback, is supposed to go back and take a touchback. As they left the huddle, one of the linemen allegedly said, "If you see daylight, go." And Gene was running around trying to kill some time, and then he decided to make a few yards. Well, the end result was Texas tackled them, and now they've got 1st and 10 on the 2-yard line. They go in and score, and now it's 19-14. Well, after the game, Gene later told me that Dad made up the whole story about when the lineman said, "If you see daylight, go." He said he did that to protect Gene himself, and Dad took the blame because he said they hadn't practiced taking a touchback. They hadn't practiced it again and again and again, and he always believed that you execute in a game the way you practice.
Unbeknownst to anyone at the Texas State Fair that October afternoon, the country had just witnessed the beginning of history. The Cotton Bowl became a place of certain defeat for the Longhorns, and a match in Norman was nearly automatic for the Sooners.
Hi, everybody. This is Tom Harmon bringing you the 48th meeting between Oklahoma's Sooners and the Cowboys of Oklahoma A&M. Coach Bud Wilkinson's squad is favored in this clash, and with an Orange Bowl bid tucked away in their hip pocket, the Sooners could be upset targets.
A familiar face returned to Owen Field for the season's finale against Oklahoma A&M. Former OU head coach Jim Tatum was in the crowd, scouting his former colleague and team, looking for an edge. The Sooners had just accepted an invite to meet Tatum's Maryland team in the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day. Tatum watched nervously as Oklahoma beat A&M for the 8th straight year.
So it's 2nd and goal now on the Cowpokes 3-yard line. Quarterback Jack Van Poel running the keep to the left side. He's into the end zone for the score, and Oklahoma has moved 77 yards in 11 plays. Merrill Green's point after touchdown is good, and the final score is Oklahoma 42. Oklahoma A&M.
Ball goes wide. Oklahoma takes over. It's a pitch out to Jack Ging. He maneuvers for a pass, and it's good to Blaisdon for a 6-yard gain. For the first time this game, the Sooners have the initiative. It's Ging with the ball again. He makes 3 yards at center. 3rd down, T formation. A snap back and a pitch out to Larry Grigg. He races around left end to his own 40. Stopped by Berge. The Sooners in T formation. There's a handoff to Larry Grigg, who picks up 2 yards over right guard. McLucky hauls him down. The Maryland Terps tightening up. Callum, a quarterback, takes the pigskin, goes back to pass. He connects with Burris for an 8-yard gain as Latterman makes the tackle. Oklahoma on a little T formation. Callum calls the signal. Larry Grigg takes the pitch out and starts around end in an attempt to throw a pass, but he's trapped. He reverses his field, and running beautifully behind nice blocking, he races to the Maryland 39, where he is tackled by McLucky. The Sooners driving in Maryland territory, T formation. Snap back and hand off to Bob Burrows. He picks up 2 at tackle. Maryland digging in. The ball goes to Callum, who hands off to King. King goes over guard for a yard. Callum calling signal, T formation. Callum fades back to pass. Faking nicely. He throws it. And he finds Bob Burris on the Maryland 28. First down. Oklahoma, rated the 4th team in the nation, is still moving in Terp territory. Here's the big one of the day for Oklahoma. Callum takes the snap back from center and laterals to Larry Grigg around end. And behind, beautiful blocking. He goes down, he goes all the way. He's over for a touchdown. Oklahoma makes the point after touchdown, and the score is Oklahoma 7, Maryland nothing. 2 plays left in this second quarter. Maryland in the tee. Boxhold again fades back to pass, but he's rushed and smothered for a 5-yard loss. Oklahoma fighting hard to protect their lead, really digging in. It's Chet Hanulak this time on a handoff up the middle for 5 yards. But Oklahoma will take over on downs. Maryland in punt formation, Walker back. He fails to get the kick away as Don Brown charges him fast, nails him on the Maryland 32. Oklahoma's ball, 1st and 10 on the 32-yard line. It's a pass this time with Van Poel passing, but it's incomplete. The Terps still with the pressure on them, with Oklahoma within scoring distance. T formation, it's a handoff to Larry Grigg, who goes up the middle for 9 yards. The Sooners beginning to roll again. It's a snap back, and it's Van Poel pitching out to Jack Ging, who fumbles on the Maryland 16 as Nolan nails him, and Irvin recovers for Maryland. With time running out, Charlie Boxhold at quarterback. Maryland is trying its best to score. It's Boxhold on a pass play, which is meant for Hanulak, but the ball is intercepted by Larry Grigg in the end zone for a touchback. Just seconds left, the Sooners draw another 5-yard penalty without the ball being snapped, and this is the last play of the game. It's been a magnificent battle between 2 superb football machines. A contest of master strategy between 2 of the nation's greatest coaches. And the final score, Oklahoma 7, Maryland nothing.
7.
Anticipation mounted as the New Year's game approached. Tatum's Maryland team was nearly unbeatable, blasting through their regular season by a combined score of 298-31. Both Tatum and Wilkinson had implemented the split T offense, an art they learned as assistants under Don Farreau.
They had a heck of a football team. They had already been named national champions. We put in, I was a fullback, and we put in a little play where we would kind of give a ride the fullback off tackle like we're going to run power off tackle play. And it wasn't real good fake, and it wasn't real good execution, but I'd bump the end to look like, oh, we messed up. And he'd roll on out, dump the football to me in the flat, and we ran it 3 times during the game, but we picked up 3 first downs. Every time we ran it in a situation where we needed to get a first. So, and we probably never made over 6 yards on a play at a time. But the timing of it was so important for us to keep control of the football and keep it away from Maryland.
While preparing for the game, starting quarterback Pat O'Neill separated his sternum, leaving Gene Callum at the reins of the Sooner offense. Callum led with great confidence, leading an incredible touchdown charge that culminated with a pitch to Larry Grigg. Breaking several tackles, the hard-nosed Grigg spanned 25 yards before reaching the plane. The play came with a casualty, though, as Callum went down with a collarbone injury, leaving the game to the 3rd-string quarterback, Jack Van Poel. The game was very much in doubt. OU entered the 4th quarter with a slim 7-0 lead when Tatum's boys mounted a rally. Oklahoma's defense was feeling the pressure, and it appeared that Wilkinson might not defeat his predecessor. After moving the ball 44 yards, Maryland quarterback Charlie Boxhold sent a potential game-tying pass toward the end zone. Grigg, who had scored OU's touchdown, intercepted the pass and handed Maryland its first shutout in 51 games. The Oklahoma faithful erupted in celebration of the program's first Orange Bowl victory. The undefeated Maryland team had fallen prey to Coach Wilkinson's guile, and nobody knew that more fully than Tatum himself. 25 million viewers tuned in as Oklahoma opened the season against the University of California at Berkeley. With the number 2 team in the country on their home turf, Cal fans were ready to put up a fight.
I can remember the first game of '54, we flew out to California, to play University of California in Berkeley. I'd never been on an airplane. I don't think any of the other guys much had. And can you imagine this today when we get out there, the pilot comes on and says he's got permission to fly around San Francisco Bay so we can look at Alcatraz and Golden Gate Bridge and all of that. They fly. Can you imagine them doing that today?
Two tough defenses kept all scores out of the end zone for the first quarter as Oklahoma put constant pressure on the Cal attack. Stacking 8 men at the line, the Bears still couldn't hold the Sooners scoreless as veteran quarterback Gene Callum slipped into the end zone. A late fumble by the Sooners set up a 7-6 halftime score. A sensational halfback pass by Buddy Leak began the second half. Taking a pitch from Gene Callum, Leak found Max Boydston for an 89-yard touchdown to help the Sooners rally for a 27-13 victory. A Notre Dame loss that same week propelled the Sooners to the #1 ranking. Texas Christian University awaited the Sooners back in Norman, bringing a precarious 6-2-3 defensive alignment that worried OU's head coach. The Horned Frogs stifled the Sooners throughout the first half, scoring the only 2 points of the half when Leak was caught for a safety.
Fans here in Norman, Oklahoma this afternoon are sitting in almost a stunned silence as their heavily favored Oklahoma Sooners trail a gallant band of TCU Warriors 2-0. The Horned Frogs from Texas are putting on a defensive show that is reminiscent of the old days, and folks here are wondering whether or not the highly touted Oklahoma offense can get rolling in the second half. To make matters worse for the partisan Oklahoma rooters, it has just been announced that their fine quarterback Gene Callum would see no action in the third period because of a shoulder injury. Now, whether or not the Sooners can get their offense rolling, we'll see, as it's time now to play ball.
With Callum sidelined, Wilkinson turned to Jimmy Harris, his inexperienced sophomore quarterback. Harris gave Oklahoma the spark it was needing with a 68-yard punt return for a touchdown. It was more than beginner's luck when Harris danced into the end zone the second time to put the Sooners within 2, 16-14.
And a partisan crowd here at Norman, Oklahoma really whoops it up as the Sooners now come right back into the ball game.
The thrilling come-from-behind victory was the first sign of Harris's terrific career. An accident during practice knocked out Harris's 2 teeth, but as history panned out, the teeth were the only thing that Harris ever lost. The Oklahoma winning streak continued in full force with a 34-13 rout of Missouri in the 500th game in Sooner history. Oklahoma then blasted Nebraska 55-7 to set up a meeting with Oklahoma A&M. The Aggies used an off week to prepare for the final game of the season. The annual rivalry was met with great anticipation, commemorating the 50th anniversary of the original battle at Cottonwood Creek. The consistent execution by center Kurt Burris proved to be the cornerstone for the play of quarterbacks Callum, Harris, and O'Neal. The brother of OU's 3-time All-American Buddy Burris, Kirk was in a race to become the first interior lineman to win the Heisman Trophy. And Harold Keith planned to lobby each of the 3,500 sports editors in America with a personal letter. With only 4 days to write and no copier machines, Keith enlisted the help of 2 classes of students training to be secretaries. Working on 100 typewriters in 2 rooms, the students enthusiastically churned out personal letters stating Burris's case as Keith pinned his name on each. The campaign earned Burris a close second. Despite the undefeated season, conference rules prohibited teams from playing in bowl games in back-to-back seasons. The Sooners finished at number 3, even after amassing better offensive and defensive numbers than the number 1 and 2 teams.
And their opening game is a tangle with football machine of Oklahoma, perennial Big 7 champion. And this is just the opening gun in a schedule that also includes Maryland and Notre Dame. The Sooners, coached by Mr. Split D himself, Bud Wilkinson, and spearheaded by All-America prospect Bob Burris, have been picked to finish among the top 10. First quarter, North Carolina is forced to punt. Bill Fry gets away an end-over-ender that's taken by Jimmy Harris. Harris bolts up the sideline to midfield on a beautiful run back. But there's a flag down. Oklahoma is detected clipping. That must put the ball in play from its own 1-yard line. The Sooners are set to go. Jim Harris fumbles the snap. John Billick pounces on the ball, and it's a North Carolina touchdown. The conversion attempt fails, but the Tar Heels are away to a 6-0 lead. That lead is still good. Late in the second quarter as North Carolina mounts an offensive. Quarterback Dave Reed turns right in for a first down on the Tar Heel 27. lead shows the Sooners how the split T works as he keeps and carries to his own 40-yard line. The Tar Heels sophomore quarterback takes to the air as he pulls eye to Ed Sutton, who gets to the 47. But the Sooners take the starch out of the Tar Heel offensive, and the drive comes to a halt as Bill Fry punts to the Oklahoma 20. Tom McDonald takes it. Oklahoma quarterback Jim Harris gets the Sooners on the march with a sparkling dash to the North Carolina 43. Billy Pricer punches through a hole in the Tar Heel forward wall for a first down on the 32. Jim Harris gives off to Pricer, who flips to Bob Burris, and the Sooners pick up another first down on some Southwestern razzle-dazzle. Bob Burris, whose two brothers were All-Americans at Oklahoma, lives up to his famous name as he makes it goal to go on the 7. On fourth down, Tommy McDonald tears through the Tar Heels, and it looks like he's over, but it's down to the 1-yard line. The half ends with a sophomore studded Tar Heel squad hanging on to a surprising 6-0 lead over Oklahoma. In the third quarter, Oklahoma do something about the score with Jim Harris showing the way. Bob Burris bores his way into Tar Heel territory as he carries to the 44. Set back by a penalty, the Sooners call on Burris again, and he scrambles through the North Carolina secondary on a beautiful run to the Tar Heel 34. Billy Pricer finds running room on the left side and slams to the North Carolina 23. Tommy McDonald takes a pitch out and fires one of the few passes of the game. John Bell wraps it up, and once again it's goal to goal for the Sooners. Boots a perfect placement to put Oklahoma into the lead, 7-6. In the fourth quarter, the Sooners are still trying for insurance against the tough, alert Tar Heels. Tommy McDonald wheels around right end and goes all the way, but he was out of bounds at the 11. Bob Burris digs into the line to pick up 5 yards. When the going gets tough, the Sooners call on Burris, and he delivers the ball to the North Carolina 2. Faced with an 11-man line, Tommy McDonald goes to the outside and scores a second Sooners 6-pointer. Oklahoma remains undefeated in taking the determined Tar Heels 13-6 and breathes a sigh of relief.
Our 1955 team will be so new that our own fans won't recognize it.
95% humidity awaited the Sooners in their opener at North Carolina. After going scoreless in the first half, Oklahoma managed to put 2 touchdowns on the board. Using a strategy of rotating linemen, Wilkinson's linemen alternated throughout the game, allowing players to rest while their opponents struggled for a reprieve.
It was kind of an old military-like Marine mindset, you know, you got to be tough through this, you don't need water, and you might be white as snow, but you don't need any water. And it almost caught up with us in North Carolina. We played in a 100-degree day with the humidity at least 100, and we had guys at the end of the game folding up like accordions on a bus, you know, from dehydration. And it was a serious matter.
Well, what he did, he said, we've got this alternate squad. He started a 2-unit deal. When I was a sophomore, he brought me in and said, we want to run a second unit, and we're going to alternate them with the first unit, and we're just going to call them an alternate squad. We referred to them as a first and second unit. He referred to them as an alternate squad because he didn't care which one. He wanted us to think that the second unit was just as good as the first. Well, we did. And to get a good effort out of us, he said, whoever wins the scrimmage starts Saturday.
Averaging 11.2 yards per carry, Tommy McDonald's smooth play diced the Pittsburgh defense in Oklahoma's home opener and gave heed to the dominance that Oklahoma exuded throughout the season.
The Cotton Bowl at Dallas is crammed with a capacity-plus crowd for the annual battle between the Longhorns of Texas and the Oklahoma Sooners. This is one of the hottest rivalries in the Southwest, dating back to 1900, with the Longhorns on the losing end of the last 3 meetings. Oklahoma is guarding the longest winning streak in collegiate football, 21 games. But Texas head coach Ed Price has his steers raring to go as Oklahoma takes the field. After receiving the opening kickoff, Texas tries to travel on the arm of Joe Clements, but Jerry Tubbs intercepts for Oklahoma on the Longhorn 33. Tommy McDonald drives up the middle to pick up 6 yards. Jimmy Harris comes back and hands off to Tommy McDonald. Tommy tears around right in and loops through the Longhorns on a 28-yard touchdown trip that puts Oklahoma out in front of Texas 6-0. Jimmy Harris will attempt the extra point. The pass from center is high and the kick is blocked. Oklahoma still leading 6-0. In the second period, the Texans come back on the passing attack sparked by Joe Clements. He hits Joe Youngblood on the Longhorn 28. Clements cranks up and fires again. Menon Shriver is on the other end for a 7-yard gain. The Steers stampede into Sooner territory as Clement clicks with Shriver to put the ball in the 49. Del Womack waffles the center of the Oklahoma line for 5 yards. Fourth down finds the Longhorns a yard short. Clement sneaks but fails to make it, and Oklahoma takes over. The Sooners send Cecil Morris crashing through the Steers to the Texas 25. Quarterback Jay O'Neill keeps the ball as he goes through the line, then pitches back to Cecil Morris, who gets to the Longhorn 14. Price sweats this one out as the Steers dig in with fourth down coming up. Bob Burris passes, but it's broken up, and Texas takes over on its own 16. The Longhorns' Charlie Brewer gambles on a pass deep in his own territory and loses as Tommy McDonald intercepts to bring the ball to the Texas 7. The Sooners make it all the way this time. Tommy McDonald sprints for home and makes it standing up as Oklahoma ups its advantage over the University of Texas 13-0 at the end of the first half. The Longhorn herd hits the trail again in the third period. Clemens gets things moving with a perfect peg to Shriver on the Texas 36. Del Womack gets the ball and comes around left end. He runs into a crowd of Sooners and takes them with him for 8 yards. Quarterback Clemens has found a flaw in the Sooner defense, and he takes advantage with another bullet pass to Menon Shriver to the Oklahoma 46. Clements tries to keep Texas moving through the air, but Doyle Jennings breaks through to smother him for a 15-yard loss on his own 39. Second down with 25 to go. Texas crosses up the Sooners as Del Womack works the delayed buck. He laterals to Walt Fondren, who rips and twists his way for 32 yards. The Longhorns have their deepest penetration, but the Oklahoma defense is airtight. Joe Clements hurls a fourth down pass. It's broken up, and Texas must give up the ball. The Sooners move immediately into Texas territory. Jim Harris keeps them moving as he hangs onto the ball and crashes to the 37. Tommy McDonald takes a pitch out and then lobs a pass to John Bell as the Oklahomans move to the Longhorn 29. Jim Harris keeps the ball and scrambles through the left side. He pitches back to Billy Pricer, and Billy barrels for 21 yards to make it goal to go for the Sooners. Bob Burris dives over for the score as Oklahoma extends its winning streak to 22 by defeating the Texas Longhorns for the 4th straight time. The final score, 20-0, marks the first time since 1938 that Oklahoma has been able to shut out Texas in this traditional game.
The tactic worked as Oklahoma's defense swarmed the Longhorns' attack, keeping the Longhorns off the board throughout the match. Bob Burris's terrific play tilted the game in Oklahoma's favor, plowing through the Texas line and helping to send the score to a convincing 20-point shutout. Evolving from a team of greatness to one of legendary status. Over the final 5 games of the season, Oklahoma amassed a combined score of 206-7. The pivotal play of Tommy McDonald was a driving force behind the powerful offense.
Well, number one, Tommy was tremendously talented. We'd run a play that maybe he took the handoff and went 15 or 20 yards. He might run 40 or 50 yards, then turn around and run back and try to beat everybody back to the huddle. Just one of those kind of guys.
The 22nd Orange Bowl Classic, a stirring, star-spangled spectacle, provides a breathtaking climax to Miami's most famous sports jamboree. Maryland, champion of the Atlantic Coast Conference and ranked 3rd nationally, meets Oklahoma, perennial kingpin of the Big Seven. The Sooners, voted the #1 team in the nation, bring the country's longest winning streak, a string of 29 straight victories, into the Orange Bowl. Screen star Gloria DeHaven is the official Maryland mascot, and the Terrapins hope her presence will inspire them to avenge a 7-0 loss to Oklahoma 2 years ago in this same Orange Bowl. It's Jim Tatum of Maryland on the left and Oklahoma's Bud Wilkinson, 2 of football's most successful coaches. Today it's pupil-facing teacher, for Wilkinson was once Tatum's assistant at Oklahoma. 76,000 sun-drenched spectators leaped to their feet in the first quarter as Maryland's explosive running back Ed Verub streaks through the Sooners on the game's longest run from scrimmage. Verub tears off a 66-yard gain before Jay O'Neill's desperation dive spills him on the Oklahoma 10-yard line. As Terrapin fans roar for a score, their hopes are dashed as Wayne Greenlee forces Frank Tamburello to fumble. OU's Don Stiller recovers to smother the Maryland drive. It's 0-0 moving into the second period. Oklahoma, which led the country in scoring, passes from deep in its own territory. Carl Dodd takes the toss from Clendon Thomas, but Sooner joy is short-lived as a holding penalty shoves OU back to its 5-yard line. The Sooners try to take the Terps by surprise, with Clendon Thomas getting off a quick kick. Maryland's Dave Noose races to recover the ball and returns to the Oklahoma 38-yard line. On a quick opening play, Ed Verub darts for a first down on the Sooner 15. Versatile Ed Verub, the Terrapins' triple threat terror, tries to pass, but spots an opening, reverses field, and behind All-American Bob Pellegrini's bone-crushing block, Verub veers into the end zone. The touchdown makes Verub the leading scorer in Maryland history and gives the underdog Terrapins a 6-0 advantage. Maryland regains possession late in the first half, but not for long. Frank Tamburello passes, but this play goes the wrong way when Jim Harris intercepts and returns 13 yards to the OU 48. With time running against them, the Sooners take to the air. Jim Harris throws to Bob Burris, who kills the clock on the Maryland 43. Oklahoma gives its all as Harris connects with Billy Pricer, who battles to the Terrapin 25. But the clock runs out, and Maryland's 6-0 lead looks bigger even at halftime. During the intermission, the huge throng is treated to a spectacular pageant over which lovely Lynn Brown, the Orange Bowl queen, reigns. Oklahoma forces Maryland to kick early in the third quarter. Ed Verub's punt is taken by Tommy McDonald, and on a near-perfect planned return, McDonald races back along the near sideline for 33 yards to the Terrapin 46. Oklahoma grinds goalward with Billy Pricer powering 5 yards. Sooner speed becomes more prominent as Bob Burris bulls to the Maryland 28. Oklahoma's razzle-dazzle pitch and pass play from Harris to McDonald to Burris makes it goal to go on the Terrapin 7-yard line. On a pitch out, Tommy McDonald, the Sooner speed demon, packs the pigskin to pay dirt, and Oklahoma rallies to take the lead for the first time at 7-6.
Maryland is held in check by the stubborn Sooner defense, and Lynn Vital kicks to Clendon Thomas on the OU 38. Thomas returns the 11 yards, and Oklahoma has the ball at midfield. The Sooners' spark is ever present now. It's Clendon Thomas this time for 7 yards. Carl Dodd does it here as he cracks out another 7-yard advance. Unrelenting precision highlights this Oklahoma drive. Dennett Morris moves to the Maryland 18. Jay O'Neill feeds Carl Dodd on a pitch-out play, and Dodd makes his way to the Terrapin 2-yard line. Maryland's Jim Tatum is as tense as anyone as he sees his 16-game winning streak running out. Jay O'Neill squeezes into the end zone, and Oklahoma leads. In the final period, Maryland's Lynn Vital tries a first down pass. OU Carl Dodd couldn't be sooner as he picks off the pass on the dead run, puts his head down, and he's off to the races. Dodd sprints for 82 yards in the most spectacular play of the day. A power-packed and precision Oklahoma team just as national champion and makes it 30 straight victories by defeating Maryland 20-6 in the Orange Bowl.
The Cornhuskers of Nebraska have a tough road to hoe as they take the turf at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln to battle the nation's #1 team, the Sooners of Oklahoma, who are gunning for their 28th straight victory, the longest streak in collegiate football. Oklahoma head coach Bud Wilkinson's attack is sparked by the running and passing of his great halfback, Tommy McDonald. The Sooners strike like lightning. Jim Harris breaks through the line for 17 yards and then flips to Billy Pricer, who roars downfield. But the officials ruled the pass illegal, and Oklahoma settles for a first down at its own 35. The ball goes to Billy Pricer. He fumbles, and Doran Post recovers to give the Cornhuskers possession deep in Oklahoma territory. Don Irway takes to the air for Nebraska with a perfect pitch to Willie Greenlaw as the Cornhuskers move to the Sooner 28. In the Nebraska attack, anybody is likely to throw the ball. This time, Rex Fisher lets go, and it's complete to Greenlaw on the Oklahoma 14. First down, Nebraska. The Cornhuskers are out to snap that Sooners streak. Willie Greenlaw scrambles to the Sooners 7. Once again, Rex Fisher is set to pass. But the Sooners scotch the Nebraska scoring bid as Dennett Morris intercepts on the 2-yard line and gallops back upfield on a 31-yard return. The Sooners go right to work. Carl Dodd doesn't know when to quit as he makes a miraculous recovery for a 10-yard carry to the Oklahoma 43. Dodd does it again. He barrels across midfield and delivers the ball to the Nebraska 39 for a Sooner first down. The Oklahoma powerhouse rumbles goalward. Dennett Morris picks his spot and gets it for an 11-yard pickup. With the ball on the Cornhusker 10, Clendon Thomas turns on the power and almost goes all the way as he brings Oklahoma to the 1-inch line. Jay O'Neill jars the Cornhuskers with a successful sneak that puts Oklahoma in front of Nebraska 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. Neither team can get rolling until late in the first half. Then an interception puts Oklahoma on the march with Tommy McDonald mauling for 9 yards. From the Nebraska 19, Billy Pricer powers for 12 big yards, and it's goal to go for Oklahoma. The goal is just where they're going. Bob Burris bores straight ahead to score. At the half, it's Oklahoma 13, Nebraska 0. A third quarter surge puts the Sooners on top 20-0, and they're off and running again as Clendon Thomas gets loose and filters through the entire Cornhusker aggregation before being pulled down from behind 59 yards later. But Oklahoma was holding, and the ball comes back. The Sooner attack gets back on the track with Tommy McDonald at the throttle on a 14-yard trek to the Nebraska 41. Bob Burris shows a kind of drive that typifies the Orange Bowl-bound Sooners as he picks up 9 yards. Willie O'Neill doesn't let the pressure off the Cornhusker line as he finds an opening and makes the keeper pay off for 10 yards. Oklahoma grinds to the 1, and Tommy McDonald polishes off the drive as the Sooners take a 27-0 lead over Nebraska. In the final period, the Cornhuskers shake up the Sooners and give the hometown Rooters something to cheer about as Willie Greenlaw gallops away on a 40-yard trip that takes him into Oklahoma territory. The Cornhuskers get to the Sooner 28, but disaster overtakes them there as Rex Fisher fumbles and Oklahoma recovers to stall the drive. The OU boys show how it's done. After moving into Nebraska territory, they send Clinton Thomas wheeling to the Cornhusker 13. From the 6, Thomas totes for the tally to make it Oklahoma 34, Nebraska nothing. The Sooners continue to pour it on, and the final count reads 41-0. The Oklahomans vindicate their choice as the nation's #1 team and stretch their string to 28 straight. They say now point for a date with Maryland in the Orange Bowl.
As stout as Oklahoma's offense was, Gomer Jones's defense proved to be among the best in the country as it shut out 7 of its 10 opponents, including Oklahoma A&M. A crushing 53-0 triumph at Stillwater showcased the depth of the Sooner squad. All 56 players who dressed for the game saw action. The new offense helped secure Oklahoma's 10th conference championship in 10 years and its second straight undefeated season. The Associated Press awarded Oklahoma its second national championship, setting up a rematch of the 1953 Orange Bowl with Jim Tatum's third-ranked Maryland team.
The 22nd Orange Bowl Classic, a stirring, star-spangled spectacle, provides a breathtaking climax to Miami's most famous sports jamboree. Maryland, champion of the Atlantic Coast Conference and ranked 3rd nationally, meets Oklahoma, perennial kingpin of the Big 7. The Sooners, voted the #1 team in the nation, bring the country's longest winning streak, a string of 29 straight victories, into the Orange Bowl. Screen star Gloria DeHaven is the official Maryland mascot, and the Terrapins hope her presence will inspire them to avenge a 7-0 loss to Oklahoma 2 years ago in this same Orange Bowl. It's Jim Tatum of Maryland on the left and Oklahoma's Bud Wilkinson, 2 of football's most successful coaches. Today it's pupil-facing teacher, for Wilkinson was once Tatum's assistant at Oklahoma. 76,000 sun-drenched spectators leaped to their feet in the first quarter as Maryland's explosive running back Ed Verub streaks through the Sooners on the game's longest run from scrimmage. Verub tears off a 66-yard gain before Jay O'Neill's desperation dive spills him on the Oklahoma 10-yard line. As Terrapin fans roar for a score, their hopes are dashed as Wayne Greenlee forces Frank Tamburello to fumble. OU's Don Stiller recovers to smother the Maryland drive. It's 0-0 moving into the second period. Oklahoma, which led the country in scoring, passes from deep in its own territory. Carl Dodd takes the toss from Clinton Thomas, but Sooner joy is short-lived as a holding penalty shoves OU back to its 5-yard line. The Sooners try to take the Terps by surprise with Clinton Thomas getting off a quick kick. Maryland's Dave Noose races to recover the ball and returns to the Oklahoma 38-yard line. On a quick opening play, Ed Verub darts for a first down on the Sooner 15. Versatile Ed Verub, the Terrapins' triple threat terror, tries to pass, but spots an opening, reverses field, and behind All-American Bob Pellegrini's bone-crushing block, Verub veers into the end zone. The touchdown makes Verub the leading scorer in Maryland history and gives the underdog Terrapins a 6-0 advantage. Maryland regains possession late in the first half, but not for long. Frank Tamburello passes, but this play goes the wrong way when Jim Harris intercepts and returns 13 yards to the OU 48. With time running against them, the Sooners take to the air. Jim Harris throws to Bob Burris, who kills the clock on the Maryland 43. Oklahoma gives its all as Harris connects with Billy Pricer, who battles to the Terrapin 25. But the clock runs out, and Maryland's 6-0 lead looks bigger even at halftime. During the intermission, the huge throng is treated to a spectacular pageant over which lovely Lynn Brown, the Orange Bowl queen, reigns. Oklahoma forces Maryland to kick early in the third quarter. Ed Barab's punt is taken by Tommy McDonald, and on a near-perfect planned return, McDonald races back along the near sideline for 33 yards to the Terrapin 46. Oklahoma grinds goalward with Billy Pricer powering 5 yards. Sooner speed becomes more prominent as Bob Burris bulls to the Maryland 28. Oklahoma's razzle-dazzle pitch and pass play from Harris to McDonald to Burris makes it goal to go on the Terrapin 7-yard line. On a pitch out, Tommy McDonald, the Sooner speed demon, packs the pigskin to pay dirt, and Oklahoma rallies to take the lead for the first time at 7-6. Maryland is held in check by the stubborn Sooner defense, and Lynn Vital kicks to Clendon Thomas on the OU 38. Thomas returns 11 yards, and Oklahoma has the ball at midfield. The Sooners' spark is ever present now. It's Clendon Thomas this time for 7 yards. Carl Dodd does it here as he cracks out another 7-yard advance. Unrelenting precision highlights this Oklahoma drive. Dennett Morris moves to the Maryland 18. Jay O'Neill feeds Carl Dodd on a pitch-out play, and Dodd makes his way to the Terrapin 2-yard line. Maryland's Jim Tatum is as tense as anyone as he sees his 16-game winning streak running out. Jay O'Neill squeezes into the end zone, and Oklahoma leads. In the final period, Maryland's Lynn Vital tries a first down pass. OU Carl Dodd couldn't be sooner as he picks off the pass on the dead run, puts his head down, and he's off to the races. Dodd sprints for 82 yards in the most spectacular play of the day. A power-packed and precision Oklahoma team just as national champion and makes it 30 straight victories by defeating Maryland 20-6 in the Orange Bowl.
Both teams battled for field position in the early stages of the game. After Jay O'Neill saved a touchdown at the 10-yard line, Wayne Greenlee forced a fumble in Oklahoma's favor. Careless play by the Sooners ensued, setting up the Terrapins for a 39-yard scoring drive. Oklahoma had not given up a point in 17 quarters of play, and the Sooners were stunned as they sat in their locker room at half, down 6-0. The order was given for Jimmy Harris to start the go-go offense in the second half. Tommy McDonald's 19-yard pass to Bob Burris sparked the Sooner drive. Several plays later, McDonald punched in a touchdown, giving the Sooners their first lead of the game at 7-6. When OU got the ball back, the second unit moved the ball 51 yards for another Oklahoma touchdown. Wilkinson's adjustments had worked.
In the final period, Maryland's Lynn Vital tries a first down pass. OU Dodd couldn't be Sooner as he picks off the pass on the dead run, puts his head down, and he's off to the races. A power-packed and precision Oklahoma team just as national champion and makes it 30 straight victories by defeating Maryland 20-6 in the Orange Bowl Classic.
Tatum's tired team simply had no answer for the go-go offense. Sooners opened the 1956 season. It seemed as though the Oklahoma program just couldn't seem to shake Jim Tatum. The Sooners were matched against North Carolina, Tatum's new team, knowing a victory would tie Coach Wilkinson's 31-game winning streak. Tatum's players, unaccustomed to their new coach's style of play, got their first taste of the legendary 56 Sooners. Strong play from Billy Pricer set up the first touchdown. Jimmy Harris and Tommy McDonald hooked up before the half ended, a prelude to an intense intra-squad Heisman race. Sooner tackle Wayne Greenlee and guard Ken Northcutt saw their season end during the first half. Both players suffered broken legs 3 inches above the ankle, leaving them as roommates in the university infirmary. The two flipped a coin to determine who would get operated on first. Winning the toss, Northcutt elected to defer, telling the doctors, "Practice on Greenlee, be ready for me." North Carolina failed to put a single point on the board against a stout Oklahoma defense, and Greenlee and Northcutt watched their teammates roll to a 36-0 shutout. Kansas State was next, but the outcome was settled quickly. The starters only played 18 minutes. Wilkinson's recruiting had been so strong that its second and third string players were nothing short of first-class talent, rolling over the Wildcats by a score of 66-0.
I think Coach Wilkinson looked for that character type player. Texas kids, I talked to them, you know, when they'd come in to look over the campus, and they were already made up their mind. They'd already made up their mind, I'm coming to Oklahoma. And it was because of Bud Wilkinson. That's what it boiled down to.
After pasting Texas with 45 points, Oklahoma completed the first 3 games of the season with a combined score of 147-0. The Sooners traveled to Lawrence, Kansas for their annual meeting with the Jayhawks. At the end of the game, Kansas fans stormed the field simply to celebrate scoring on Oklahoma, despite losing the game 34-12. Bud and Gomer turned the team's focus to their date with Notre Dame the following week. The Sooners went to South Bend facing a team that had not been shut out in 47 straight games. Preparation was the cornerstone of Wilkinson's coaching philosophy, one unifying goal in mind. Among the highlights of Oklahoma's performance was the defensive play against Notre Dame's star quarterback, Paul Hornung. Of Hornung's 13 passing attempts, Oklahoma defenders picked off 4, including 2 that were returned for Sooner touchdowns. Ironically, by season's end, Hornung had the Sooners to thank as he was handed the Heisman Trophy.
You know, here McDonald and Jerry Tubbs kind of knocked each other out as far as votes are concerned in the Heisman Trophy, but I thought Tommy McDonald should have won it.
Memorable national championship.
Tension was high as the Sooners visited the high country at Boulder, Colorado, land of snow and a 33-degree temperature. OU was in trouble from the start as Pricer tried to quick kick. John Bayou blocked the ball and recovered in the end zone for a Colorado touchdown. With the 7-0 reading, Colorado was the first team to lead Oklahoma. But late in the period, Harris rolled out and hit McDonald 35 yards down the middle for the score, and the scoreboard read Colorado 7, Oklahoma 6. And on 4th and 1, McDonald hit Thomas from 6 yards out for the touchdown. Harris's conversion made the score Colorado 19, Oklahoma 13. And with 48 seconds showing on the third period clock, McDonald sped around right in for 11 yards and the touchdown. The final score, Oklahoma 27, Colorado 19.
But we go back out, and Jimmy, I catch one in the corner, and I think I caught a couple. Tommy got one down the middle. Again, we could pass. They'll go back to, it wasn't any big deal, and bang, bang, we're back in it. We got a good scare. Had we not been able to throw the ball effectively, we probably very easily could have lost that ball game.
Oklahoma continued its 5-game road trip in Ames, Iowa. Oklahoma ripped the Cyclones with 44 points, resulting in the team's 5th shutout of the season. The defense was impenetrable, holding Iowa State to 4 first downs and 35 total yards of offense. Wilkinson's split-tee offense rolled for 503 yards while only punting once. A near-perfect execution of the offense that Wilkinson had perfected.
The splits in the line divided the players enough that if you could, our term, stand off with them, you didn't create the hole because the hole was already there. And my experience in football was playing single wing football, where you had to double team people and knock them aside to open the hole. So it was just sort of the wave of the future, option football, and the split tee, the splits, meaning the holes were created before you snapped the ball, and it was the offense of the future.
It was a great offense, it really was.
Wilkinson's 10-year rivalry with his coaching mentor never ended in defeat, as he defeated Faroe at his own game by an average score of 34-9. The curtain call for the rivalry ended in a grand finale as Oklahoma pasted the Tigers 67-14. Clendon Thomas's 11-yard catch at the beginning of the match got the Sooners on the board first. Slugging their way through the first half, Oklahoma built a 34-0 lead as they headed into the locker room. A peculiar shakedown in the AP poll left the Sooners with 92 first-place votes, although they fell to second place behind Tennessee, which held only 58 first-place votes. The Sooners were at risk of losing a national title, despite their undefeated record. When the stadium address announcer announced that Tennessee had beaten Mississippi 27-7, Wilkinson's boys knew they had to turn on the heat. Oklahoma went into attack mode, pushing across the plane of the goal line 5 more times in the second half. McDonald's fine play led the Sooners with an average of 12.3 yards per carry, including 58 and 23-yard touchdown runs. Harold Keith credited the score update from the PA announcer as a critical turning point in the game, and ultimately, the season. Updated scores from across the country had become a tradition at Memorial Stadium, led by head basketball coach Bruce Drake. The Cornhuskers of Nebraska took to Owen Field under their new coach, Pete Elliott, who had changed sidelines from Oklahoma at the start of the season. Elliott's players saw every bit of Oklahoma's squad, with Wilkinson again playing every athlete who dressed for the game. The terrific trio of McDonald, Harris, and Thomas put on a show. Kick-starting the game with a 54-yard run, Thomas put the Sooners in close. With 4th and goal, Harris pitched to McDonald for the first score of the game. Harris rushed for a touchdown later in the game and then added another through the air on a 48-yard strike from McDonald. When the last down had been played, Oklahoma prevailed 54-6. The victory ended Wilkinson's first decade of conference play, undefeated. The legendary season was nearly complete, with the final chapter yet to be written on the turf in Stillwater. The streaking Sooners had won 39 straight games, enough to tie the record set by legendary Washington coach Gilmore Dobie in 1914. Conference rules prohibited the Sooners from bowl play, leaving the Aggies as the only unfinished chapter of the storied season. Oklahoma wasted little time getting on the board. Jay O'Neal made a key defensive play, intercepting a pass and returning it 63 yards for an Oklahoma touchdown. That was all it took. Wilkinson's locomotive was rolling again. And by game's end, a lineup of seniors closed out their perfect careers with a 53-0 romp of their rivals. With a perfect 10-0 record, Oklahoma was awarded the 1956 National Championship.
And the season closes on what some have called perhaps the greatest college football team in the history of the game.
In all the years that I watched Sooner football, my favorite team, and the team I thought was the best of all time, was the 1956 Sooners. They shut out their first 3 opponents that year. They had a great team. They beat Notre Dame at South Bend 40-0. The one scare they got in 1956 was at Boulder. They went out to play Colorado, and Colorado had a single-wing offense and a very talented football team. At halftime, Oklahoma was behind 19-6. And from the way they played the first half, it looked as if the winning streak would end at 35 games.
Wilkinson gave one of the shortest speeches at half I ever heard. We had this history of people who had brought this streak to us. There were 3 years before me, then I was part of 3. So a lot of red shirts had come and gone to get us to where we were, and we're fixing to blow it.
Oklahoma began the 1957 season with the longest winning streak in the history of college football. The Sooners quickly picked up 2 additional victories before making the trip south of the Red River.
Watch the faking on this play. Sandifer winds up with the ball, and the ball winds up in the end zone. But a penalty on the play brings the ball back to the 20-yard line. The Sooners don't discourage easily. They come right back with Carl Dodd doing the damage. Dodd deposits a dandy into the hands of Don Stiller, and this pass is a thriller. Oklahoma's class begins to tell as the Sooners pull away to a 20-0 lead. Pittsburgh just can't get going, and the Panthers try to outwit Oklahoma with a quick kick. Bobby Boyd grabs the ball, and watch this boy go. Boyd, just a sophomore, is as loose as a goose and twice as shifty. He leads the Panthers a merry chase on a 27-yard return. OU, 3 deep, and every position is loaded with tip-top talent. That's Dave Baker passing and Bobby Boyd receiving, and the play goes all the way. But here again, a penalty cancels an OU counter, and the play is called back. Oklahoma retains its composure. These Sooners would sooner score than eat. No sooner said than done, says Dave Baker as he passes to Dick Carpenter. Carpenter carries it across for the final score of the game. Oklahoma begins the defense of its national championship impressively as the Sooners ring up their 41st consecutive victory by overpowering a good Pittsburgh team 26-0.
Awaiting the team was another former OU coach and star, Darrell Royal. While Wilkinson's pen was busy rewriting the record books, colleagues around the country began to prune their own leaders from the Oklahoma coaching tree.
Dad was instrumental in helping Coach Royal get his job at the University of Texas, and I'm not sure he would have ever succeeded had my dad not stepped up for him as much. But Coach Royal's philosophy about football and life was so consistent with my dad's. And I've always felt that one of the interesting things about the football profession is that coaches share their information with each other openly and willingly. And so, and knowingly that if you defeat your friend 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row, that you might cause him to lose his job. There's still that respect and that friendship. And of course, when you enhance that by the fact that Coach Royal played for my dad and was an All-American player, there are so many stories about Coach Royal that he was such a huge part of the Oklahoma tradition.
Oh, I've talked to him about it, and he just said, well, that's just the way of life, you know. He said, I didn't think they'd even hire me. And when they did, I said, he was at my house when they hired him, when he heard that he had been hired. And he said, when you're sleeping on the floor, you can't fall out of bed, Charlie. And I said, well, you got it. You're right there. Texas wasn't the power that it is when he got there, after he got there. So he took it from the floor up, and so he did a great job. He's a winner.
Coach Royal had his Longhorns prepared when the #1 ranked Sooners took the field. Quickly asserting his team as the aggressor, Mickey Smith boosted Texas with an interception, setting up a Walter Fondren to Monty Lee pass to take the first lead of the game. The two teams continued to battle throughout the remainder of the first half, but knotted the score at 7 at the break. In the third quarter, OU went on a charge to put the Sooners up by 1 score. Then Sandifer's interception stopped the Longhorns' final push.
Walt Fondren back to pass, but Oklahoma Sandifer intercepts.
Defeated but far from disgrace, Texas falls 21-7 before the nation's #1 team, Oklahoma. The $64,000 question, how long can the Sooners go on? Touchdown kicks off at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, where some 76,000 gather to gaze at the kings of collegiate football, the fabulous Sooners of Oklahoma. This game pits the pupil against the teacher, for Texas coach Darrell Royal on the left learned his football from Bud Wilkinson at Oklahoma. The Sooners feature a veteran line anchored by number 65, Bill Kreischer, the co-captain and right guard. Carl Dodd, number 22, converted from halfback to quarterback, directs OU's first unit. Number 27 is the left halfback, Jakey Sandifer, a constant breakaway threat. The boomer Sooner is Clendon Thomas, number 35, an All-American if there ever was one. Texas pins its hope for an upset on number 24, quarterback Walt Fondren. Fondren, son of an oil-rich Texan, turned down an athletic scholarship because he didn't need it. Texas has the ball in the first quarter, and the Longhorns put Oklahoma in the hole. Walt Fondren's booming 60-yard quick kick sets the Sooners on their heels as the ball stops on the OU 6-yard line. Oklahoma, unbeaten in 42 consecutive games, gambles as Carl Dodd passes. Mickey Smith intercepts for Texas, and the Longhorns set up the first scoring threat. Max Alvis slashes through the Sooners for a fast first down. The Texans are fond of Fondren, and here's why. Walt whips a payoff pass to Monty Lee, and the underdog Longhorns lead mighty Oklahoma 7-0. The second quarter, and Oklahoma finds itself trailing, but Dave Baker starts the Sooners sailing with a 24-yard pass to the Texas 23. Clendon Thomas, hula-hipped halfback, hot foots through a big hole as OU closes in on the goal. Thomas carrying, Oklahoma scores in its 119th consecutive game for a new collegiate record. But the hard-pressed Sooners were forced to come from behind to tie Texas 7-7 at the half. Walt Fondren, a crackerjack back, takes Oklahoma by surprise again with another booming quick kick. This boot travels 73 yards, and Oklahoma has its back to the wall once more. The Sooners thrive on pressure. They've beaten Texas 5 years running, and they take aim on number 6 by shaking Jakey Sandifer loose for 30 yards. Just as Oklahoma shifts into high, Longhorn Bob Lackey strips the Sooners' gears with a clutch interception. Thousands of Texans holler themselves hoarse for an upset as Bobby Lackey passes goalward. But the Sooners' Bobby Boyd bags the ball, and Oklahoma has it on the 8. Look out, Texas, here come the Sooners. Dick Carpenter hammers out 18 yards before the Longhorns nail him. This play proves vitally important to Oklahoma. Bobby Boyd carries and gets only a yard, but the Longhorns are called for a personal foul. Texas is penalized 15 yards, and Oklahoma is awarded a first down on the Texas 28. Style possession football with short, rapid rushes moves the ball ever closer to the end zone. Clendon Thomas slants to the Texas 1-yard line. Jakey Sandifer shoots across as Oklahoma breaks the tie and takes the lead over a stubborn Texas team 14-7. Still longing for an upset, are not long looking for the equalizer. Fondren's pass to Cliff Grubbs puts Texas on the OU 38 at the end of the third period. It's no wonder the Longhorns love Fondren. Walt winds up again. Grubbs grabs it as Texas grinds goalward. Fondren is fearless, and his passing is peerless. Walt riddles the Oklahoma secondary with another completion as Maurice Doak is down on the Sooner 10. The Cotton Bowl is bouncing as Fondren fades to pass. Walt gets walloped, and this play goes astray. Jim Davis, a sophomore center from Tyler, Texas, gallops goalward with the pilfered pass. No one gets near Davis as he dashes 97 yards to the end zone. Back at the 50-yard line, erases this run, and Bud Wilkinson is still plenty worried as Texas takes over late in the game. The lion-hearted Longhorns go for broke, but Walt Fondren, an outstanding performer all day, throws a boomerang on this play. Jakey Sandifer purloins the pass and beats a path to the Texas 21. The interception paves the way to the game-clinching score. Dave Baker connects with Don Stiller, who storms to the Texas 2. As Carl Dodd dives over, Oklahoma writes its 43rd consecutive victory into the record books, an all-time collegiate mark. Defeated but far from disgrace, Texas falls 21-7 before the nation's #1 team, Oklahoma. The $64,000 question, how long can the Sooners go on? Dallas Ward. He always has some surprises for the Sooners.
It was, I think, in the second quarter, maybe in the third quarter, where I was fortunate to break through and block the extra point, which ended up that we won the game. Had I not had the privilege of blocking that extra point, we could have tied the game and not had continued our winning streak at that time.
Oklahoma then chalked up 2 road victories over Kansas State and Missouri. The 13-0 win over Kansas State gave Coach Wilkinson his 100th Sooner victory. After the 39-14 win at Columbia, Oklahoma's winning streak set at 47, and the team had set a national record by scoring in 112 straight games.
I have the distinction of playing in game number 47 of the 47-game win streak, so we didn't win, naturally. They just wore you out with their speed and their quickness. They huddled, I think, 1 or 2 yards from the ball, and would run 90 or 100 plays a game. And of course, that's when everybody played both ways. You played offense, defense, special teams, and everything. And it really got to you. And they would play their first team a series or 2. Here'd come their second team. They'd come back with the first team. They might put the third team in. And meanwhile, you've been out there the whole time, and it gets to be a long day.
The nation had noticed the Oklahoma dominance as Sports Illustrated made its case why Oklahoma is unbeatable.
Halfback Clendon Thomas is Oklahoma's entry for All-America honors this year. Bobby Boyd is a bull when he gets the ball. His running paces the Sooners' second unit. Oklahoma opens the first period action with Clendon Thomas getting off a quick kick. It has its calculated effect as the Buffaloes scramble to catch up. Sherm Pruitt can't stop, and his foot hits the ball. Jerry Thompson flops on it, and the Sooners have the ball on the Colorado 13. Dave Raleigh rams over left guard to the Buffalo 9 as the Sooners strike for pay dirt. Bobby Boyd finds a hole and flashes across for a Sooner score. For the first time since 1951, Oklahoma scores first against Colorado. It's 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. The Buffaloes figure it's about time to turn Bob Stransky loose, and that's just what they do. Stransky storms for 22 yards and a first down. Pushed back by a penalty, Colorado tries the footing around left end. This time, it's Ray Engel with the ball, and Ray rockets to the Colorado 49. Colorado tries to move on to the Sooner side of the 50-yard line as Bob Stransky passes, but Bobby Boyd halts the Buffalo stampede with a nifty interception, and at halftime, Oklahoma still leads Colorado by a lone touchdown, 7-0. In the second half, Oklahoma tries to get going with Clendon Thomas passing, but Bob Stransky streaks to intercept and gallop for the goal line. The Colorado Comet goes all the way on a 40-yard touchdown, but the Buffaloes fail to convert and trail at 7-6. The breaks are with the Buffaloes now. On the first play after the kickoff, Carl Dodd fumbles and Bill Mott covers the ball for Colorado on the Sooner 26. Ralph Herbst hits the line. The ball gets away from him, but Eddie Dove dives to recover, and it's a first down for Colorado. The Buffalo luck runs out as Charlie Brown attempts a field goal. It's blocked, and OU preserves its 1-point margin. Colorado forces the Sooners to punt and goes right back to work. Boyd Dowler winds up and passes to Gene Warden for a 16-yard gain. Colorado's multiple offenses mauling the Sooners. Eddie Dove dashes wide for a big 9 yards. The slashing Sooner defense solves this Colorado play, and Buffalo Bob Stransky bites the dust for an 11-yard loss back on the Oklahoma 37. Buffaloes try the aerial game, and it works just fine. Ralph Herbst hurls a strike to Bob Munson, and Colorado camps on the Sooner 18. The game goes into the final period, and Colorado goes into the lead on this play. Bob Stransky is caught, but gets away a short pass to Boyd Dollar, and Boyd bangs across. Colorado leads undefeated Oklahoma 13-7. As the Buffaloes kick off, the Sooners strike back with sudden fury. Landon Thomas receives and races all the way back to his own 47. Oklahoma's famous racehorse attack swings into action. Carl Dodd keeps and spins to the Colorado 34. Landon Thomas gets the ball and cuts back over left tackle for 5 yards. It's Thomas again, going to the left and taking the defense wide as he picks up 7 yards and the first down. Sooner surge carries to the Colorado 8. The pitch out goes to Clinton Thomas, and Thomas turns the left flank on a scoring scamper. Oklahoma converts and regains the lead at 14-13. The Sooners force the Buffaloes to punt. Bobby Boyd is the receiver, and Bobby puts Oklahoma back on the touchdown trail with a sparkling 39-yard return. Raleigh gets up a good head of steam and rips right through the middle to a first down on the Colorado 16. The Sooners are out to ensure their 45th in a row as Clinton Thomas takes aim on the end zone, but Ross Coyle is covered and the pass falls incomplete. The Sooners are glad to settle for a 14-13 squeaker for their 45th straight victory as Colorado once again nearly turns the trick on Oklahoma. 16, 1957 is a day Oklahoma fans will never forget, and our touchdown cameras are in Norman to record this historic football game. The Sooners are unbeaten in 47 straight games, and Oklahoma features a scoring streak of 123 consecutive contests, both of which are all-time collegiate marks. The last team to down OU was Notre Dame, and the Fighting Irish are Oklahoma's opponents today. Stay put, for you're going to see the game of the year. Oranges is in the air as the Oklahoma Sooners stampede into Memorial Stadium at the University of Missouri. Oklahoma, undefeated in 46 starts and ranked second in the nation, must get by Missouri if it wants to visit the Orange Bowl. Missouri has a perfect record in conference play. The fast-breaking Sooners set out to eliminate the men of Old Mizzou from contention right away. Dick Carpenter canters through the Tiger secondary on a scintillating sally that tallies for Oklahoma. And it's 7-0 at the end of the first period. In the second quarter, Oklahoma gets in some more groundwork as Jakey Sandifer races around right end and roars to the Missouri 39. The Sooners are sharp today. Bobby Boyd slices off right tackle on a thrust that carries to the Tiger 18. Dennett Morris, the Sooners' senior fullback, blasts through the Missouri line, and it's goal to go. With the ball just 4 yards away, Bobby Boyd batters over for the score, and the Sooners take a 13-0 lead over the Tigers of Missouri. The Tigers show their claws with the passing of Phil Snowden doing the damage. Benny Albertus bags this one on the Oklahoma 37. Has the men of Missouri primed and set to explode. He hits Bill McKenney on the Sooner 8, and things are looking up for the home folks. Snowden polishes off the push by shoving his way into the end zone, and Missouri makes it close at halftime. Oklahoma leads by just 13-7. Bill Snowden tries to get Missouri on the move in the third period, but Dick Carpenter takes a hand in the proceedings as he pilfers Phil's pass and tightropes down the sideline to the end zone. But he stepped out on the 23, and back comes the ball. But the Sooners are soon knocking at the door, and Dave Baker breaks it open as he pushes across another Oklahoma touchdown. It's Oklahoma 20, Missouri 7. Near the end of the quarter, Dave Carpenter has the Sooners crunching downfield. His pass hits Ross Coyle on the Tiger 27. On the final play of the period, Bobby Boyd bangs over right guard for a first down on the Missouri 15. Thomas opens the final 15 minutes with a dandy dash down the middle to the Tiger 5. Carl Dodd dives over, and the Sooners are way out in front to the tune of 26-7. Oklahoma takes advantage of an interception to Gallup. Goldward again. Clendon Thomas swings out and passes to Don Stiller on the Missouri 34. Dennis Morris takes off like a runaway tank as he drives to the 19-yard line. The ball goes to Clendon Thomas. The Sooners star halfback streaks around end and tears to the Tiger 2. Clendon Thomas gets into the scoring column as he flashes across, standing up. And Oklahoma assumes a 32-7 advantage. The men of Old Missouri are still alive and kicking as they prove right here. Henry Kuhlman breaks through the line and lopes away on a rousing 32-yard rush that puts another tally on the board for the Tigers. Now it's Oklahoma 32, Missouri 14. Missouri's troubles are far from over. In a punting situation, a bad pass from center forces Bob Hoss to eat the ball, and Oklahoma takes over on the Tiger 23. The Sooner subs get their chance and deliver with Prentice Gout prancing the final 2 yards to make it Oklahoma 39, Missouri 14. As Missouri's Phil Snowden launches a final second desperation pass, another Sooner third stringer gets a chance to shine. It's Brewster Hobby intercepting a pass and racing away on the play of the day. Brewster's Hobby must be running. He returns 60 yards as the gun sounds to end the game. Oklahoma earns its 47th straight victory and just about sews up a bid to the Orange Bowl by taming the Tigers of Missouri 39-14.
Blitz between the Oklahoma offensive linemen. He figured by doing that, he would disrupt their rhythm, and he also had his linebackers blitz quarterback Carl Dodd as many times as he could. As a result, Dodd fumbled the ball away to the Irish twice during the game. And as a result, Notre Dame stopped Oklahoma cold as far as offense was concerned. The Sooners had 4 good scoring opportunities in the first half, could not capitalize. It was 0-0 at intermission.
I remember he told us at the half, the only games you'll remember are the ones you lose.
It was still 0-0 as they went to the fourth quarter. And then Notre Dame got the ball at its 20-yard line with about 13.5 minutes to play. For the next 9 minutes, the Irish controlled the ball, moved down the field. 19 of the 20 plays they were to run on that drive were runs, one little jump pass. They got to the 3-yard line, 4th down, goal to go. Terry Brennan was the Notre Dame coach. He said, the angle is not right if we try a field goal. Let's go for the touchdown. During the drive, their fullback, Nick Pietrasante, had gone from guard to guard, banging off those positions left and right all the way down the field. So the OU defense was, I think, primed to stop Pietrasante. But instead, Bob Williams, the quarterback of Notre Dame, used a play that they'd never used before. He told his halfback, Dick Lynch, Dick, I'm going to pitch you the ball, and you circle right in. They did it. Not a Sooner touched him, and he went into the end zone for the touchdown. 3 minutes and 50 seconds remained. The extra point made it 7-0. Oklahoma had one last chance. They got as far as the Irish 24-yard line, but then a pass was intercepted in the end zone, and Notre Dame ran out the clock, snapped the Oklahoma streak, and won the game.
We just struggled, and mentally, I don't think we were prepared. I'll say this, and I could be wrong. I don't think the coaches were that, keyed up about the game. We always had, just to make things fun and interesting, Bud had always put in at least a half a dozen new plays, and we didn't put on any new plays. We just lined up and said, here we go, and they just did a good job and beat us.
That was a game that we knew someday might come, but in hindsight, we could have easily won that ball game. We made a mental mistake on the goal line, or they wouldn't have gotten in, and it would have been 0-0, and maybe we would have scored. But they would not have won. We would not have let them in, but
November 16, 1957 is a day Oklahoma fans will never forget. And our touchdown cameras are in Norman to record this historic football game. The Sooners are unbeaten in 47 straight games, and Oklahoma features a scoring streak of 123 consecutive contests, both of which are all-time collegiate marks. The last team to down OU was Notre Dame, and the Fighting Irish are Oklahoma's opponents today. Stay put, for you're going to see the game of the year. The first time the Sooners get the ball, they threaten to blow the Irish off the map as Carl Dodd passes to Dennett Morris for 11 yards. The OU offense, which features firehouse football, has in quarterback Carl Dodd a classy faker and a smooth runner. Dodd dents the Irish defense for a first down, and the Sooners are rolling. Oklahoma's All-America candidate Clendon Thomas goes inside his right end and smashes to the Notre Dame 13-yard line. On fourth down, the Irish brace, and Carl Dodd's pass is defended nicely by Al Ekway as Notre Dame halts the Sooner surge inside the 15. Second quarter, an Irish lineman jars the ball loose from Carl Dodd's hands, and the scramble is on. Nick Pietrasante finally covers the pigskin for Notre Dame at midfield. A pair of juniors get the Irish winging as Bob Williams passes to James Colosimo for 10 yards. Williams stuns the Sooners secondary with a quick jump pass to Dick Royer, and Notre Dame has another first down. Williams is taking the headlines away from the nation's second-ranking team as he completes another pass. This one to Pietrasante is good for 10 yards. A slow-motion camera focuses on Williams again, and Bob is booming the Sooners with his aerial antics. Colosimo grabs the toss and gets to the 3-yard line. Now watch this play carefully. Jim Just gets the handoff and bangs into the line. Just didn't make it into the end zone. Rack up a brilliant goal line stand for the Sooner defense. Next time they get the ball, the Irish are closing in again with Frank Reynolds carrying for a 9-yard gainer. Williams is back on target once more, and James Colosimo makes a beautiful diving catch for a first down. Sooners aren't the only team to work a little razzle-dazzle. The Irish pull off a fake field goal, and Williams passes to Just, who blasts to the OU 6. But once again, the Irish luck runs out. Frank Reynolds' pass is picked off by Dave Baker in the end zone, and the Notre Dame drive conks out. At halftime, the score is tied at 0-0. Fourth quarter, and now the fun begins. Notre Dame on the move, and that's Frank Reynolds rambling for 11 yards. Pietrasante gets his hands on the ball and rips up the middle on a first down charge. Williams crosses up the defense with a beautiful jump pass to Dick Royer, and the Irish are on the OU 19. This looks like another win-1 for the Gipper game as Dick Lynch barrels 8 yards on a draw play. Here's the play of the game, and Sooner fans are shocked. Dick Lynch, behind Pietrasante's bone-crushing block, sweeps into the end zone for a touchdown. Notre Dame, a 3-touchdown underdog, leads the nation's number 2 team, Oklahoma, 7-0. This game isn't over yet. The Sooners roar back with Bennett Watts completing a 10-yard pitch to John Pello. Only 1 minute remains and Oklahoma gets a break. Bennett Watts' long pass is deflected into the hands of John Pello, and OU is perched on the Irish 24-yard line. It's do or die for the Sooners. Dale Sherritt throws goalward, but Bob Williams, a standout for the Irish, makes a clutch interception. The kings of collegiate football are beaten. Notre Dame snaps Oklahoma's 47-game winning streak and hands the Sooners their first shutout in 124 consecutive games. In the upset of the year, Terry Brennan's Irishmen dumped Bud Wilkinson's Sooners 7-0.
That mental mistake cost us a score.
The game was over, we were told to come into the locker room and wait for Coach. Well, he was gone quite a while. I'd say 15, 20 minutes. And we still had our gear on. I mean, we still had shoulder gear on and hadn't started taking our gear off. And he comes in and he mentions the fact that he had taken time to drop by the Notre Dame team and congratulate them. That was him. And he spoke to Coach Brennan, congratulated him. And as he was leaving the locker room over there, Coach Brennan walked out and he told him this story, that one of the things that was evident in that game to him was that a year before, Oklahoma had gone to South Bend and beaten this same bunch of guys 40-0. And they were going to do something about it. They had made a decision to do something about it. So one of the players drew up on the chalkboard in South Bend 364 days of the Oklahoma game. And every day, someone would, either a trainer or a manager or a player or coach, would erase that and put one less day. That went on for a year. Now, to understand that, that means they didn't care about any of the games, but they were going to come to Norman and they're going to win this ball game, and they did that. And Coach Wilkinson came over and told us that story, and then we took our gear off.